acquiring certification from the FAA today for this service. It's been years in the making. What exactly is this service, and why is it so different than everything else that we've seen in terms of tracking capabilities before now?
Ms. Morgan, well, today is a historic day not only for Aireon, but also for the whole aviation community. With the launch of the Aireon satellite-based air traffic surveillance system, for the first time ever, we'll have 100% surveillance of all equipped aircraft in the world. We're tracking over 11,000 aircraft worldwide right now. And the reason why this hasn't been done before is because up until this point, all of the tracking of airplanes and the surveillance of airplanes for air traffic control has been done by ground-based systems, by radars, which are 1940s technology, for ground-based receivers that pick up the GPS signals coming off of aircraft. What Aireon has done is put in space a network of 66 receivers on the Iridium Next satellite constellation that picks up these GPS signals being transmitted by aircraft and provides it to air traffic controllers. And as of today, the air traffic controllers of Canada and of the UK are now using this service to safely move aircraft across the Atlantic Ocean, as well as managing air traffic in terrestrial Canada.
Yeah, now Aireon was born from Iridium, which is a publicly traded company, and I know Canada's air traffic control has a controlling stake in it as well at this point. But I guess what I don't understand is we've seen satellites, thousands of satellites in space for years now, decades now. Why is this technology only possible today?
Well, it's a good question. There's a few things that had to happen to make this viable. First, all of the aircraft had to be equipped with the new technology that transmits the ADS-B messages. And the regulators of the US, the FAA, the European Union, Australia, several other countries have mandated by 2020 all aircraft need to be equipped with these devices that will transmit this information. So first, that put a broad set of aircraft that had the right technology on board. Second, we had to have a system that could receive those signals. And we were lucky back in 2009, 2010, when the concept came to fruition. Iridium was in the process of repopulating its network of 66 satellites. Quite frankly, Iridium is a very unique satellite constellation that can see any place on Earth and can get information from anywhere to anywhere in real time. And that's the essential part of creating a system that can be used by air traffic controllers to safely manage traffic.
Hey, Don, you know, aviation geeks have been talking about free flight, as they called it back in the 90s, for a long time. What does this mean for the future of ground-based systems, then? Can we start to graduate them out of the system?
Well, it's a good question. You have to remember, the aviation industry is the safest mode of transportation in the world. And it is safe because there are multiple layers of surveillance, multiple layers of safety that ensure that the safe component remains part of it. So I don't think you're going to see ground-based systems go away. I think what you'll see is in places like the ocean, where there is currently no surveillance and no capability, this is going to enable a change in the system. You can see in the map behind me, you'll see a lot of straight lines, Congo lines of air traffic highways, if you will, across the ocean. The controllers of Canada and of the UK will begin using this service to help optimize the flights. So as they get comfortable with this service, the eventual goal is to remove those highways and let aircraft fly from Europe to the US on the most efficient flight paths possible.
Don, along those lines, fill in exactly what data this is going to give us that we haven't had already. It's not as good as having the actual black box, but what's the amount of information, maybe the speed of information that we're going to be able to have under this system that we haven't in the past?
Yep. Well, this new capability, it's called ADS-B. It stands for Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. But think of this as the next generation air traffic surveillance technology. This takes some very precise information that's recorded on board the aircraft through GPS. It includes not only the position, but also the velocity, the speed, the heading, the altitude of the aircraft, as well as some quality parameters. It gets transmitted on a very, very frequent basis from the aircraft. So what Aireon was able to do was collect that information anywhere in the world. So because of the crash occurred in Africa outside of surveillance, there was no other source of the data other than the black box of what happened on the Boeing 737 on the Ethiopian flight. So what we were able to do is provide that information to the FAA, to the NTSB, as well as the regulators of Transport Canada and the EU to allow them to make an assessment of what caused the event and whether or not they had to make a decision to ground the Boeing 737 fleet. So think of it as a next generation. It's a difference just between getting a location and getting all sorts of other information that will be useful to accident investigators.
Who will be your biggest customers for this? And given the fact that we have seen, unfortunately, these tragic crashes in recent months, has there been more reach out to you for folks and companies looking to increase their safety and their capabilities?
Well, you have to realize this is a major innovation in air traffic surveillance and air traffic management. So we've been working with partners in the air traffic management industry since we began the program back in 2011. So right now, not only have NAV Canada and the UK NATS organizations began using the service, but we have 9 other customers who have already signed agreements, are getting live data feeds, and are going through their own preparation processes. These include European, Iceland, it includes Caribbean air traffic control organizations. Large regions of Africa will begin using this. Singapore will begin using this service. And behind those first 11 customers, there's another set of organizations that represent about 25% of the world's airspace that are in active negotiations with us to begin using the service. So I wouldn't say there's something new going on. I'd say people really understand the importance of global surveillance, and they're working with us very closely to bring this capability to their airspace.